Well, good afternoon. On behalf of the First Family, allow me to say welcome to the White House.
Thank you.
So grateful that you all will come from all across the country to help us tell a real story about what's happening with real Americans and failed policies of Obamacare. I bring greetings from the President and his appreciation and honor that you all are present with us today. Also very grateful to be joined by Counselor to the President, Kelly Conway, as well as the Administrator of the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services. These are two leaders that have been directly involved in our efforts to keep the promise the President made to the American people to repeal and replace Obamacare and give the American people the kind of health care that they deserve. Build on individual responsibility, free market principles, and state-based innovation and reform. But we're here today because Obamacare is collapsing all across America. And as we speak, leaders in the United States Senate are debating legislation to follow on the House of Representatives and move us one step closer toward repealing and replacing Obamacare. And the statistics about Obamacare's track record really speak for themselves. As the President has said, Obamacare is dead. The truth is, the numbers are alarming. Our administration has shown that the average Obamacare premiums have more than doubled in the past 4 years. In some states, they've more than tripled. While premiums are soaring, choices are plummeting. Our research shows that a third of American counties, including 5 whole states, have only one choice of Obamacare coverage, which is no choice at all. And insurers continue to abandon Obamacare. Virtually every day there's news of another major insurance company leaving an Obamacare exchange in another state around the country. It literally is imploding. But the reason why we're grateful that you've taken time to be here is because the story of Obamacare's failure is not a story of statistics. It's a story of real people and real hardship placed on the American people. And so the reason why we wanted you to come to the White House today was really to have a chance to tell your story. Sure. As members of the Senate will work over the course of the coming days to give us an opportunity to turn the page on the failed policies of Obamacare. We thought it would be altogether fitting to hear from people who were bearing the burden of Obamacare. And so thank you for coming. Thank you for helping tell the story about this failed policy and the urgent need for Congress to act and to act soon to give the American people the kind of health care that they deserve. With that, let me just introduce a few folks who are with us and then maybe have you just share for a moment. Julie Champagne and her husband Bart and I actually met when I was in Wisconsin a few weeks ago. Julie told me her story. Obamacare premiums, as she told me, have cost more than her mortgage. She told a personal story as well, a hard choice, Julie, that you and your family had to make coming up on the holidays because of the burden of Obamacare. Holly, why don't you go ahead and share from your heart, and then I'll introduce others around the table.
First, I'd like to thank you for inviting us here, because I would love for our story, the average American, to get out there. All I hear in the press is, oh my gosh, the Republicans are taking away subsidies and all the freebies. What about the stories that what happened to us back in 2009 when we lost our insurance? We lost our doctor. I had an amazing doctor, I lost her. What about those stories? Why aren't you telling those? Yeah, our premiums on the Obamacare exchange have skyrocketed. Our deductibles are off the charts. Between my husband and I, it's $13,500 deductible. Our premiums, last year, I know that everyone talks percentages, what they went up in percent. For us, that percentage from last year to this year, from 2016 to 2017, was $220 a month additional. We couldn't afford it in 2016. How do we afford it now? That's just crazy. Several months out of the year, you can go 3 months out of a 12-month period.
So your premiums going up dramatically. You said more than $200 a month, and your deductible for this coverage is available under Obamacare is
$13,500. for my husband and I. We have to meet that before our insurance pays anything. We opted to go without insurance. We go 3 months after a 12-month period, you don't have to pay the fine. So great risk, and a lot of serious thought, we decided to take that risk, so we could afford to buy Christmas presents for our children and grandchildren. I've never been without insurance. I've always paid my way, so that was hard to do, but we did that. We can't afford to use our insurance. This past winter, I was extremely sick for 5 weeks. I was down and out, but I'm going to work every day. I'm self-employed. I don't go to work. I don't get paid. And I couldn't afford to go to the doctor, so I finally, after 5 weeks, went to a walk-in clinic where it's really cheap compared to an office visit with the doctor. I ended up being diagnosed with a sinus infection, ear infection, and strep throat. So I have insurance I can't even use even when I'm really sick. That's just crazy.
And that's Obamacare.
That is Obamacare. We wanted to believe that our premiums would come down $2,500. That was a lie. That we wouldn't lose our insurance. We did. Lost my doctor.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Two great people from Wisconsin. John Lovell, living in West Virginia, retired a few years back to take care of your wife, who has major health issues. But the rising cost of Obamacare is putting a great hardship on the family. John, would you share with us?
Yes, I retired at 61, and knowing that I couldn't sign up for Social Security until 62. But my wife and I, we worked hard from year after year to raise a family. We took it away, and I said, yes, we had that opportunity. I was able to work every single day, every year. And then it comes to a point where my wife had to retire. So then we had a single income. And then I had to retire to go home and help her. So the first year wasn't bad. The second year wasn't bad. The third year, my premium tripled. Okay, and
Tripled in that single year?
Tripled. Okay. Yes, it tripled. I pay $940 a month premium. My deductible is $6,800. My copay is $100, and I pay all my medication. So it's so every month now I have to take money out of our retirement fund because my Social Security, if I use my Social Security to pay for my health care, I'm paying 54% of my Social Security for that, which is one of the very difficult things to do. And I do appreciate your hard work and your effort, and you noticed how broke this is, and you're willing to fix it. Thanks.
Thank you, John. Appreciate that very much. Aaron and Andy Witzig and 2 of their 6 children, Poppy and Zoe. Poppy has a rare condition that requires a serious medical care every year. They've lost their Obamacare plan and had to buy a new one. It costs more. Covers less. Aaron, can you share your experience, your story, and thank you for bringing your beautiful daughter to us.
My pleasure. We actually had Blue Cross Blue Shield. We had a really, really great plan that cost us quite a lot, but we knew that we would be able to handle co-pays and deductibles when we didn't know what would happen.
This was before Obamacare.
This was before Obamacare, yes. And then post-Obamacare, our premiums actually got slashed because her need was no longer able to be applied towards the cost of the premium since there would be no pre-existing conditions. So we actually thought in the beginning that it was going to be a benefit to us, and we were a little bit excited about it. However, every year it has changed. And at this point, now we can't get the bandages she needs, she can't see the doctor she needs. Every year the plan is no longer available. Our premiums go up, our deductibles go up, but our biggest concern is the fact that we don't know what next year is going to be. If this year was already, you can't get these things. And we didn't find out until after we placed our first order for several $1,000s of bandages, which we have to have to take advantage to take care of her. And so once we found out they weren't paying, we said, well, they're not in network. So they've always been in network. And they explained it to us that they no longer are this year. And so we could get an exception, but that would not be retroactive. So they were willing to grant us an exception for a few months after a lot of work on our behalf, but they don't have to continue doing that. We don't know when they're going to say no exception. And if we just need to go quick see her specialist doctor, we can't without just paying completely out of pocket. So it's more of the fact that insurance should be bringing peace of mind, and it's doing the opposite.
But before Obamacare, you had a Blue Cross plan.
Yeah.
It was predictable.
Very, and I mean, like I said, it was more at that point, just the premium, we had no copay, no deductible, and very, very, very low deductible. But it was incredibly reliable, and we could count on it. We only could pay for something that we could count on. But now we're paying, and we don't know what we're getting.
That's nice. Well, thank you so much. And thank you for bringing Holly. She's absolutely adorable. Next up is Chris McCullough from Louisiana. Like millions of Americans, Chris has been facing high costs for a Obamacare plan, and he's found out that it's virtually useless. Chris, maybe you, and you want to come around this way if you want, please feel free. Chris, maybe you share with us your experience with
the minimum policy would cost over $500 a month just for me. $6,000 deductible, so you're already over $11,000. It only covers 60%. I had a surgery. I negotiated with the doctors. It was under $6,000. Had I had Obamacare, it would have cost me that $6,000 deductible plus 40% of the excess, because the operation would have then been almost $15,000 instead of $14,000. My husband's covered by VA, but when I pay a penalty for not having it, I'm taxed on both of our incomes.
So do you choose to pay the penalty instead of having your
It's been cheaper to pay my own medical and $4,000 worth of penalties over the past 3 years.
Right. So one of, Seema, how many millions of Americans choose to pay the penalty instead of
6.5 million.
Wow. 6.5 million.
They could use the money to buy health care.
Amazing. Well, Chris, how important do you think it would be for the Congress to get the President's desk?
Move now. Go right now. Don't wait till the meeting's over. Go get it done. Get rid of Obamacare. Let us buy insurance across state lines. That way we can pick and choose what we need. I promise you, I don't need maternity coverage. But I would have to pay for it. So yeah, I think we can pass on that. And it's hurting a lot of people. And there's no recourse for anything. If Obamacare calculates that you get a subsidy and they do it incorrectly, you're on the back to pay it back yourself. If your income's over 400% of the poverty limit, there's no limit to how much they can make you repay. That's devastating for families.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story and being so transparent. You are literally the face of some 6.5 million Americans who've chosen simply to pay the penalty. $4,000 out of your family's budget, and you pay for your own health care.
But I didn't make the insurance company rich for nothing. I just have to cover my own.
Well, thank you, Chris, very much. We're also joined by Melissa Atkinson and her husband Rich from Ohio. One of the we all remember the promises of Obamacare, don't we? If you like your health insurance, you can keep it. All right, we've already heard from Erin that she had health insurance she liked, she wasn't able to keep it. We heard if you like your doctor, you can keep it. And that's another story we're going to hear now. Melissa and Rich, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
From Ohio, you lost your doctor under Obamacare, and you've been struggling to get the health care that you need. Melissa, maybe you'd share with us.
Yeah, I'll tell you that in Ohio right now, there aren't any options for us. I think most people are aware of that. It's been reported in the news. So you've got one provider, and in the county that we are in, there are no options. So you're forced into the marketplace to purchase your insurance. The first co-op that we were with was opened specifically by the Affordable Care Act, and it was in health. It buckled under the weight, surprise, of Obamacare after receiving $3 million weekly additional in claims that they were not anticipating. So what that meant for us is not only did we pay those high premiums and those high deductibles, when they started to close their doors and there were leftover bills to be paid, well, guess who gets to foot the bill for those? That we did. And so when you're trying to call and get things taken care of to get those bills paid, nothing was taken care of. So then we get a letter from the marketplace that says, InHealth is closing their doors. You now have to go back into the marketplace and choose another plan. Of course, you'll hear the same thing that I did. I watched our president stand on national TV and his cabinet and other folks specifically say, you will keep your doctor, you will keep these providers, pre-existing conditions are covered, and here's what people need to understand. Pre-existing conditions being covered are only as good as your provider working with the Obamacare insurance. Very simple stuff, folks, very, very simple to understand. So if you have a provider that says, I'm not going to participate in the Obamacare plans, you just lost your provider. My son lost his therapist that I had been on a 6-month waiting list for. He was receiving occupational and physical therapy. It was a wonderful program that we had where we were working with the principal and the physicians and a vocational teacher at his school. And when I signed up for that marketplace plan that I was told, if you don't sign up, you're going to receive a penalty. I followed the rules, I did everything right. When I signed up, I told that rep at Marketplace, I can't afford to lose the providers we have. They checked the providers. I have a rare bone disease that requires that I receive constant attention for. I've had it since I was 14 years old. What difference does it make if those providers will not accept the insurance? And they were pulling out left and right. I was pregnant just this past year. Today's my birthday. I'm 39 years old today. It's also our wedding anniversary. My children are on vacation with my mom right now. We left them to be here today. This means so much to us. You have no idea. We've lost our providers. To be able to pay all of the bills and all of these things that we have lost, guess whose 401k is empty now? My credit is ruined. At 39 years old, business owners, I've worked for everything I have. I wouldn't be able to get a line of credit right now even if I tried. Where's the money going to come from? How do you vote for bailouts for large companies? Where's my bailout? When are you going to bail me out? That's my question I would have to those who can't make a decision. These are the real life issues. I've got a son heading to the Middle East. He called us the night before we left to let us know it'll be his first tour. We raised our kids patriotic. We love our country. Why is this happening to us? Why? I appreciate you doing this. You have no idea. When I turn on the television, I hear...
You have no idea how much we appreciate you.
I hear celebrities and I hear people saying, oh, the rich don't care. They want to take this from people. I'm not rich. I'm middle class. I cleared $50,000 a year. I've lost everything I have. They're so out of touch with what's going on, they have no idea. Instead, we're told that we're racist, we're misogynistic, xenophobic, all of these things. It's not true. You were the only party that addressed families like ours. You were the only people.
Melissa, thank you. Who's your son with?
My mother.
No, I mean,
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, well, I guess if you must know. I thought that was kind of odd, but he's with the United States Army.
Yeah, bless
Yeah.
him.
Tell him I said thank you for your service.
I sure will.
And Melissa, thank you for sharing. your
I'm sorry
passion.
for the emotion level.
No,
It's
Amazing.
just, you've
You're
got to
all amazing.
understand.
The fact that you're here on your birthday and your anniversary, I hope tells anyone looking in how important this is and what a hardship this place will think. But I'll just tell you, help is on the way.
I believe you.
And you being here is making a real difference.
I believe you.
So Thank you.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you, God bless you. God bless you.
Kellyanne, we hear these stories all the time. You want to give us a word?
We do. I note that sometimes when we speak of Obamacare, quote, victims, that's put in quotation marks as if you're not real. And to echo what the Vice President said, this is about real people impacted. It's not about statistics. And statistically speaking, we can no longer turn a blind eye to the fact that some people had the worst possible outcome in the last 7 years, which is you actually had a physical insurance card, but you couldn't use it. And for you to look at your sick children, or for you to think you haven't had a wellness visit or a checkup in years because you have the insurance card but no ability to use it, I think is precisely, it's a double challenge, because the system considers you insured and you know that you're not. You can't get basic health care. But in addition to what the Vice President said, we don't look at this as just, the President does not see this as keeping a campaign promise. We see it as a moral imperative to make sure that those who went without care and those who were left out of the system lost their coverage, lost their hours, lost their jobs, lost their ability as patients, their freedom as patients, to exercise their choices. Now we'll have choice, we'll have access, those premiums will not skyrocket, and those who have been promised better care, patient-centric free market care, will have the same ability as others to access the marketplace. So thank you very much for your courage in being here, and God bless you.
Very well said. Very well said. Yeah, it's what Kellyanne said. I heard this story all over the country. What Washington, D.C., since Obamacare defines as success is if you have an insurance card and you can haul it in your pocketbook. But to hear the stories about premiums doubling and tripling, deductibles being so large, essentially makes coverage meaningless.
When our son left for the military, I think this is important. We sold his dirt bike, we sold his ATV, we sold things to be able to make our premium payments and meet our deductible to use insurance that they canceled accidentally. 14 hours in 1 week I spent on customer service lines with a system that didn't work, websites that didn't work, and people reading canned responses. Every time I was, I'm sorry, ma'am, this me, I'm like, I'm real, I am real.
David Moody, you spent a career in law enforcement. We thank you for your service.
Thank you.
From the state of Nevada, you actually had to be uninsured for a while, so your wife
Still am now.
needs. You're uninsured now. Can you talk to us about your experience with Obamacare?
Back in the end of 13, we got notified. I was on my employer's health care at the time, but I was retired. And they basically told us because of the Cadillac tax, as they put it, that they were going to raise our premiums 120%. I was already paying it over $833, so it was going up over to $1,700. I was on a fixed income on a retirement that if I go out and get another job, I'm limited to 19 hours a week where I lose my retirement. It goes into suspension because I can't afford that either. So I was in a rock and a hard spot, so we went out, went through a broker, got insurance for my wife. I went the rest of the year of 14 without it. She was concerned and worried, oh God, what happens if you got to go to the hospital? I said, well, that's a bridge we're going to have to cross. So of course she was worried all year. We ended up going through a broker, trying to find anything that we could afford together. I finally found something where we had to pay over $1,000 for both of us, and then the deductible was $5,000 each. So there's $10,000 to meet the deductible. And they paid only a 70/30. And that same year, all she needed was some simple equipment to go with a CPAP. But they wouldn't give it to us unless we had a prescription. To get a prescription, we had to get a new sleep study. They billed the insurance $1,000, discounted it to $300. We had to pay it all. The doctor read the information. He billed the insurance $1,600 because he's a provider. They dropped it down to $200. We had to pay all that. Then we finally get a prescription. She goes down to get just a plastic mask in a tube, $150. We had to pay all that. So $650 just for a mask and a tube so that she could continue breathing at night. And I'm looking at that with what we're paying. I said, this is ridiculous. every year, they would raise us between 20 to 30% on the premiums and cut the benefits back. Luckily, she went on Medicare last year. I'm younger than her. So I'm still stuck with trying to deal with insurance, and they told me they were going to raise me 22.5% just on my premium and reduce my benefits even more, and tell me that I couldn't even take a vacation out of Las Vegas, because if I did, none of the health care, if I had to go see a doctor or go to the emergency room, none of it would count towards the deductible. So I said, you're making me a prisoner. I says, I got a better idea. Why don't I just commit a crime? I'll go to prison, I'll get free health care, I'll get free meals, and I'll get a place to sleep. I says, I'd be better off. And it's sad, and everybody makes fun of it, and I make joke of it, but it's true. It's so true. And it doesn't just affect, I mean, it is affecting me, because as of January, I have no health care because I just can't afford it. And I told the wife, I said, even if I had it, I conservatively used a $100,000 bill at a hospital, I'd have to come up, even if I had the insurance, I'd have to come up with $5,000 plus 30%. I said, so I'd have to come up with 35 grand. I'm sitting there going, I'd have to file bankruptcy. I said, so if I'm going to have to file bankruptcy for that, I might as well just file it for 100 grand. What's the difference? Well, to give you an idea, I did 3 years in military. Back in, I was an MP in there, rode motors, rode motors out in Vegas. But I even went to the VA when I first got priced out, and they says, oh, you make too much money on your retirement, you don't qualify. I said, oh, I see, so I make too much to qualify, and I said, I'm not looking for a free handout, I just want something I can afford.
That's what we hear from people all over the country. It's something you can afford, which is the Affordable Care Act is supposed to provide.
And because of that,
Can I ask Seema, from the state of Nevada, David's hardwood law, Nevada is one of the states that's been hardest hit in a collapsing Obamacare exchange, isn't that correct?
That's correct. I'm even more concerned because we're hearing that we've got 2 out of 4 counties that might not even have an insurer that's going to be offering, which means that people will be paying penalties and they don't have any place to go to buy their insurance.
yep.
So this will be getting worse over time.
Quite worse. And it's not just affecting me, it's, I represent law enforcement for Nevada, but there's officers that are on the job currently that can't retire because if they did, they can't afford the premiums. So they're not retiring. And trust me, I put 30 years in, that was long enough. Younger guys need to do that kind of work, not older guys. And that's what you're going to have on the street. You're going to have 65, 70-year-old guys still pushing cars around who shouldn't be.
Dave, thank you. Thanks for your service in both uniforms. And thanks for being willing to come and share your family story.
Oh, thank you.
Today. Very important, very timely. Christine Chalky and her son Jacob are with us. Jacob has a very rare condition and receives treatment through Medicaid in Illinois. But the state's expansion of Medicaid under Obamacare means that people who need the care most
are being
too often are seeing those services shrinking. Christine, can you talk
shrinking
to us about
and
that?
being hurt and some dying. And first, thank you for having us here to get this unknown truth out and an injustice happening to the truly most vulnerable, which are children and adults with physical and cognitive disorders, rare medical conditions, who get some help through Medicaid. They are being cut out as we expand Obamacare through Medicaid. Okay, this is my son Jake. We're the perfect example because when these cuts happened, Jake almost died, and here's why. Jake is one of 18 in the world. Okay, he is the oldest living survivor. He is doing the best of all. Most are bedridden with this disorder. When he was initially diagnosed at the age of 8 months, doctors predicted that he probably would never walk.
Live past stage 2, Mr. VP.
Yeah.
And I'm 22 years old, and I'm a living miracle.
It is. He's a living miracle. what happened for us is that Jake, he's overcome so many things, but one of the things he struggles with is seizure disorder. Because he has a very rare seizure disorder, and because his brain is so malformed, he needs specific medications. And Jake was doing very well. We have insurance. I want to explain that. We have insurance, private insurance. But because of Jake's disorder, and because he's one of 18 in the world, he's classified as medically fragile, which are 1,200 children in Illinois. He's one of those 1,200. Although we are very lucky and blessed because Jake is standing, walking, and talking. Most of these children,
Other ones.
most of the children that have these rare disorders are bedridden. The parents can't come here. They can't travel. They're tired. They're exhausted. They have to take care of their children. But what I want to say is that as we have expanded Obamacare through Medicaid, we've had the cuts. And what happened to us is we were getting some help to pay for the only medicine that would stop Jake's life-threatening seizure disorder. Well, after the Obamacare expansion, state of Illinois stopped the medicine, paying for the medicine. It's very expensive. We tried on our own to try to keep paying for this medicine. We couldn't. So and I have to explain too, he had tried so many different other drugs. It isn't like we just tried this drug, but he's tried so many different other drugs, and this was working for him. And what we ended up doing is trying a different drug because our hands, we couldn't do any more. We tried a different drug thinking something would work. After 3 days of being on the medication, Jacob had a major life-threatening reaction. I found him unconscious. He had a major seizure. We had to run him to the emergency room. Got to the emergency room, and basically they had to treat him. They treated him trying to stop the seizure, okay, which was over several hours long. The damage after Jacob's seizure, thank God, was only temporary, but it was for a few days. He was unable to speak. He was unable to see. And those things came back after an overnight hospitalization slowly, and then he learned to walk again.
Christine, if I can, I ran a state Medicaid program in Indiana, so I understand exactly what you mean. But it might be counterintuitive to people to think a state that expanded Medicaid was actually, as a result of that, reducing services to the most vulnerable and the most needful in the state. But that's exactly what you experienced.
Exactly. We are a testament to it. We are the truth. And unfortunately, in Illinois, the 1,200 medically fragile children are on the cutting block each year. Okay, they have to hire attorneys and file suits so that the state will provide.
So by expanding, and Seema, maybe you can weigh in on this, by expanding Medicaid up to 138% of poverty level, you're now doing the kind of reforms that frankly we did in the state of Indiana and agree. Make sure we focus on what's needful. You ultimately can result in states having to make choices that reduce services to the very people that Medicaid was created to protect and provide. Is that?
Absolutely, absolutely.
That's been my concern, is that Medicaid serves as a lifeline for
exactly.
individuals in the county program, and we're diverting our focus and our attention away from this program. We need to make sure that the program, instead of trying to divert focus, we strengthen the program. We focus on providing high quality care and ensuring that we are reducing bad outcomes.
Right.
Thank you.
Christine, thank you so much.
Thank you for having us here.
Jacob, we are so proud of you.
Yes, we are. Thank you,
You're
sir.
an amazing guy.
This is for you.
Is this for me? Good. Good.
It's for you to get an insight to know about me.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome,
It's
sir.
an honor to meet you.
You too, sir.
We're very, very proud. Yes.
Oh, Mom, should I give this one to him too?
Yep. Okay. He wants to give this to the president too.
Yep. Yeah. Lady Mayor.
so much. Robert and Amy Dean are with us from Texas. Thank you for being with us today. And thank you for being willing to be transparent and share your own personal story. You're foster parents. You have 6 children. But under Obamacare, your family's been forced to change doctors every year, which is the hardest, especially for your child with chronic liver disease. Maybe share your story and thank you for being foster parents.
Yes, sir. It's a joy to be parents, and again, it's a joy to be an American. And I want to thank you for inviting us when we have a government that listens, and to be sitting in a room with these people that are brave and that have great stories of perseverance is amazing. And my message is, I know America can and should do better. Our Congress needs to listen to these people at how it's real Americans that this is affecting. When we went on to Obamacare 3 years ago, we thought we're self-employed. This means that we have plans, and we do have a daughter with a pre-existing condition, that liver disease. Very important for us to have coverage. But once we discover that every year the providers in Dallas-Fort Worth, a major metropolitan hub, are declining and dropping out. And so then the tradition now is in December saying, who is going to be our plan in January and February? Then we get into January and February and our plan options have shrunk. Then we have to change providers every January and February, only to call doctors who are now declining. You would hear voicemail messages on doctors' offices saying, if you're an Obamacare plan, we're listed on this website, but we've dropped it. Please don't call our offices, because they're being flooded with people and they're dropping out. And so the quality of care has suffered. The stability is non-existent. And we've debated month after month, should we opt out? Should we pay the penalty? But with a daughter with a major disease, we know that's irresponsible. So we're just appealing to you and to Congress, my own Senator Ted Cruz. We need them to pass a bill that provides meaningful reform.
So you liked your doctor, but you couldn't keep it.
Yes, sir.
You liked your insurance, but you couldn't keep it.
Yes, sir.
And your premiums?
Skyrocketed. And Aaron was saying you're paying as much on your mortgage as you are your over there. We calculated that. We're paying as much on our mortgage as we are in health care premiums and deductibles.
And your coverage is declining.
And declining. We never even use our insurance. We just pay the bill, and we just receive other doctor bills, and we just know that reaching a $5,000 deductible for 6 kids, maybe one day capping out at this $13,000, we just haven't done it in 3 years, but we've sure written a lot of checks.
Robert, Amy, thank you so much. Thanks for sharing your story.
Thank you.
And your passion, and thanks for sharing your lives with those 6 foster kids. They're truly blessed.
Thank you.
And you know, I hope anyone looking in or those looking on know that this is the real story of what it is in America. Beyond the statistics, beyond all the posturing in Washington, D.C., these people are examples of what everyday Americans are facing. Each and every day in every state in this country because of failed policies of Obamacare. I promise you, help is on the way.
Thank you, sir.
And we'll carry your message back.
We appreciate it.
We will. Let me introduce Marjorie and Kevin Weir. Is that little Kevin right there?
This is Montgomery.
Oh, that's Montgomery. And Marjorie is here. Thank you. We appreciate so much you being with us, Marjorie, up from South Carolina. And your son, who is absolutely handsome, beautiful boy, was born with spina bifida, which requires unique care. Unfortunately, your Obamacare plan prevented your family from seeking care and needed experts from outside the state. Would you share your story?
Yes, thank you for this opportunity. I have wanted and prayed for a chance to advocate for my child and other special needs families. Never dreamed of this, and this is amazing. When I was 20 weeks pregnant with Monty, I diagnosis that he had spina bifida. And my husband and I thought the scary part would be raising a special needs child. The scary part has been dealing with insurance. Montgomery just turned 3, and in 3 years, he has been on two different insurance companies and 3 different plans. So the whole, if you like your plan, you can keep it. That's, I would say that's a joke, but it's no laughing matter there. In South Carolina, what they did this year, South Carolina has 1 insurance carrier. And to keep costs down, they basically restricted a lot of care to just in-state. Well, the 2 doctors that my husband and I feel that Montgomery should go to are in 2 different other states. So from November until April, I was on the phone negotiating with the insurance company saying, no, I'm sorry, but your rules are not going to work for my family, and whenever you tell a special needs mom no, there's no point to that. We fight. I told him, I said, listen, you make us jump through hoops. I have the strongest legs in South Carolina because I jump through hoops every day for 3 years. Yes. So thankfully they did approve care after a long time on the phone for him to go to the doctor that we wanted to, but he's 3. I have a 17-month-old daughter. I don't want to be on the phone yelling and filling out paperwork and being on hold just to find out that I was on hold with the wrong department. I want to pick up Play-Doh off the floor. I want to be a mom to my kids. And I want to be able to take my children to the doctor who I feel is the best. I find it ironic that the party that passed this bill will go out and tout how they're so pro-female and so pro-choice. I get where they're coming from there. I'm a woman. My choice is to take my kid to a different doctor than what Obamacare will let me do. So don't get out there and tell me how pro-female you are and pro-choice. That's not true. The place that I want to take my kid, you're giving me a hard time with because of your health care law. And whenever the plan changes every year, that can interrupt continuity of care, which is vital. He has to see 5 different specialists. Kids with spina bifida, especially myelofibrosis, it's the worst form of spina bifida. He's doing amazing, but that's because I fly him to the best doctors that I can find. Continuity of care and establishing that relationship, that is vital. Finding a doctor who will listen and understand where we're coming from, that's vital.
Well, Marjorie, thank you so much for your passion. Thanks for being such a great mom.
Thank you.
Monty was truly blessed.
Thank you. We're blessed to have him. We're blessed to have a special needs child. We're very blessed.
Yes, it's just heartbreaking to think for all the challenges that you faced with such courage. That you said you had, you went through 2 different insurance coverages, 3 different plans. You're unable to choose the doctor that you think is best for Monty.
Where I have to fight very hard for him.
We're going to keep working on this and give you the choice of the kind of health insurance that you want, and also give states like South Carolina even more freedom and flexibility to create new programs to support special needs families and children.
Thank you.
So, thank you. Just really great. I'm going to give Seema the last word, but first I want to hear from Connie Mays. Connie is from Ohio. She lost her Obamacare plan and has since found the new plan doesn't cover a single one of your doctors. Is that right?
That's correct. I spent my entire life working. I grew up in rural Ohio, farm kid, living a farm life. All I ever do is listen. That's all my brothers and I ever did. And we were always taught, work hard and live in your dream. And unfortunately, after all that, I became disabled last year. So for the first time in my life, I found myself having to search for insurance. and went through the marketplace, found insurance, high deductible, high premium, and again, you know, trying to just manage that on top of making house payments, insurance payments, and just utilities, and just basically being able to live.
Can you remember what your deductible was?
The deductible was about $341 at that time. Not my deductible, that was my payment. My deductible was, my premium was $341. My deductible was a month. My deductible was $7,000. And it covered minimal, I don't even remember the percentage, but it covered minimal, and it covered my carriers, my doctors that I used.
Did cover your doctors?
It did cover them, but again, it was minimal. Well, then in the fall, in November, I received a notice from United Healthcare that they were no longer going to carry individual plans, and that I would need to find a new provider. So I thought
SEMA affected how many people in Ohio?
Millions of people. I mean, we have thousands of people in Ohio.
Thousands in Ohio, millions across the country. That's one of the untold stories about Obamacare right now, is how many Americans over the last year and more have simply received word that the insurance they have is no longer offered.
It's happened twice to us.
It's happened twice.
Twice, every year, because they pull out the market.
exactly. And then they turned around, and in November, I got a notice from the marketplace that, good news, we found you a carrier who is comparable to what you have now. So come January, we will, you know, you'll just have to pay your premium and you will have coverage. So I thought that's great news, and the premium was actually less, so I got really excited, thinking, yay. But ultimately what happened was then I had to start going to the doctor. And, you know, when you have multiple doctors, you know, I went to my therapist, well, we're not covered under CareSource. Okay. So next thing I know, I have to go see my orthopedic. We're not covered under CareSource. We haven't got a contract with them. So then I had to go see my family doctor for some things that were happening. She was the one who finally told me, I live in Claremont County, Ohio. That's the county I live in. In Claremont County, there is basically one healthcare. It's called it's the Mercy Health Partners. That's the system that we have. And all of the doctors belong to that. All of the hospitals start with the name Mercy Health. So my doctor informed me, my regular general practitioner informed me, she said, Connie, if you're with CareSource, none of your doctors are covered. None of them. So literally everything was out of pocket. So basically I was just paying a premium to have insurance to keep from paying a fine. So it made me livid, it made me sick. So what I did was I immediately called CareSource, and I demanded.
So you said, I mean, it's very profound. You said you came to realize
yes,
you were essentially paying a premium to avoid paying the fine,
exactly.
but you were not able to choose your doctor.
What refund you could get?
That took the insurance coverage.
And these are doctors that I've had forever, and I'm sorry, I'm not going to start changing doctors to accommodate your needs. So I made the decision.
But you would be counted in the statistics of someone that has insurance coverage.
Exactly, because I had a card. I had a card, so I had insurance coverage. So I called CareSource, and of course CareSource really had nothing to say. I wanted my money back. You know, to me, $700 is a lot of money to pay over a 3-month period. And needless to say, they weren't very negotiable with that. So I made the decision to not renew my insurance. And at this time, I have no insurance coverage. But I think what really struck me was when I sat down and I realized that if anything at all happens to me, if my younger brother who shares a home with me comes home one day and finds me laying in the middle of the floor and goes to have an ambulance take me to the hospital in Claremont County, I may have a card that said I have insurance, but that hospital is going to start with Mercy Health, which means that my insurance was not going to cover anything. I go to a hospital and I had zero coverage. So I guess for me, it was a real awakening. So I thank you for the opportunity. I thank you for looking for real people. I think one of the things that keeps ringing in my mind that I heard over the last 8 years was affordable health care for everyone. I want to know who everyone is because it wasn't me. It wasn't me. And it isn't my family because they're struggling too. You know, my brother and sister-in-law are having a horrible time. And it's very disheartening. So I'm begging you, please, please, whatever it takes, we've got to get this fixed. It's destroying people. It's destroying me. I own a home, and if I've got to start paying $4,000 or $5,000 penalties, I'm going to lose everything I have. And I can't imagine what happened to that dream. That dream, work hard, and you will have these things. It's very painful. So please, 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 we've got to get this changed. We've got to get it fixed.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your heart. And I promise you, the President and I and our whole team are not going to stop working until we get this thing done.
Thank you.
But Connie is really, as all of you are, an example of what millions of Americans have been dealing with. Washington, D.C., the advocates of Obamacare get credit for you being covered. But you came to realize it was meaningless. Meaningless. No doctor in your community would take the coverage that you had. And in Chris's case, just a decision to write a check, pay a penalty, and have no coverage, but in a very real sense, you were doing the same thing. You just got a card you couldn't use it. It's all part of the broken promises of Obamacare. If you like your doctor, you can keep it. If you like your health insurance, you can keep it. The cost of health insurance would go down. Around this table, each one of you have a story that touches on each one of the broken promises of Obamacare. And what I would say on behalf of Administrator Verma, on behalf of Kellyanne Conway, most especially on behalf of the President of the United States, is help is on the way.
Thank you.
Keep working this. The United States Senate is working tirelessly as we speak. We're going to be working around the clock with members of the Senate to not only repeal and replace Obamacare, but to give families like those represented at this table kind of choices in health insurance, and give states the kind of freedom and flexibility to meet unique needs, unique circumstances of families. But we're grateful that you're here. The President and I just felt it was very important that people in Washington hear from the American people. And I thank you for letting your voice be heard.
Thank you.
Thank you.